Hey guys, welcome back to Status Dramaticus. So today we are going to discuss about the anatomy of pharynx. So let's get into it. I'll be uploading the notes of this video on my Telegram channel Status Dramaticus, link in description. So this is the outline of today's video. First we'll talk about the pharynx and its subdivisions, then the layers of pharyngeal wall, then the muscle coat of pharynx, then the sensory nerve supply and blood supply of pharynx, then the Waldeus ring. Timestamps will be available in the description. So let's start. We all know what pharynx is. Pharynx is a funnel shaped fibromuscular tube extending from the base of skull to esophagus. These are the subdivisions of pharynx: nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. Nasopharynx behind nasal cavity, oropharynx behind oral cavity, and laryngopharynx behind larynx. As you can see in this image, this is the nasal cavity and the nasopharynx is behind it. The oral cavity, oropharynx, is behind it. Then we have the laryngeal cavity and laryngopharynx is behind it. First we'll talk about nasopharynx. This is a schematic diagram showing the boundaries of each of the subdivisions of pharynx. Nasopharynx, the roof is formed by sphenoid bone and occipital bone. Then the floor is formed by the soft palate, upper sloping surface, and the nasopharyngeal isthmus. Anterior wall is formed by the continuation of posterior nasal apertures or cona. Then the posterior wall is formed by the continuation of the roof. Then the lateral wall is formed by the medial pterygoid plate. As you can see in this image, the anterior wall, which is the cona, nasopharynx, the base of skull, and it is going at the back and forming the posterior wall also. Then the floor is formed by the pharyngeal or nasopharyngeal isthmus and the sloping part of soft palate. These are the features which are present in the nasopharynx. We have a nasopharyngeal tonsil, which is also called adenoid. Then we have the opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx. Then we have a fossa of Rosenmuller, which is a deep depression behind the tubular elevation formed by the opening of eustachian tube. Now we'll talk about oropharynx. Similar diagram. The roof is formed by the undersurface of soft palate and the nasopharyngeal isthmus. Floor is formed by the posterior 1/3 of tongue and the interval between tongue and epiglottis. Anterior wall is formed by the oropharyngeal isthmus and the posterior wall is formed by the body of C2 and C3 vertebra. Laterally, it is bound by pterygomandibular raphe, tongue and mandible. As you can see in this image, the oropharyngeal isthmus is forming the anterior continuation of the oral cavity with oropharynx, and the floor is formed by the posterior 1/3 of tongue and the interval between tongue and epiglottis. This is the oropharynx. Okay. Now, these are the features of oropharynx. We have palatine tonsil on the lateral wall of the oropharynx. Then we have lingual tonsil on the anterior wall of the oropharynx. Then we have upper end of the epiglottis, upper free end. Then we have medial and lateral glossoepiglottic fold in the oropharynx. Then we have epiglottic valleculae. Now we'll talk about laryngopharynx. The anterior wall of the laryngopharynx is formed by the inlet of larynx and the posterior surface of larynx. Then the posterior wall is formed by the vertebra C3, 4, 5 and 6, and the lateral wall is formed by the thyroid cartilage and thyrohyoid membrane. As you can see here, laryngopharynx is behind laryngeal cavity and it is till the lower border of cricoid C6. Okay. The features: laryngeal inlet, it is anterior to the laryngopharynx with cricoid and arytenoid cartilage bounding it. Then we have a very important pyriform fossa laterally on each side of the laryngeal inlet. I'll talk about pyriform fossa in my next video, so stay tuned for that. Now we'll talk about the layers of pharyngeal wall. Pharyngeal wall has 4 layers. First we have the mucous membrane, then we have the pharyngobasilar fascia, which is extending from the pharynx till the base of skull. Then we have a muscular coat formed by the longitudinal and constrictor muscles. Then we have buccopharyngeal fascia, which covers the buccinator and the pharynx. That's why it gives the name buccopharyngeal fascia. On the posterior aspect of pharyngobasilar fascia, it forms a thickening running longitudinally downwards. This thickened part of pharyngobasilar fascia is called pharyngeal raphe. What is the importance of pharyngeal raphe? This is the common insertion for all constrictor muscles. We'll talk about constrictor muscles later, but this is the common insertion for all constrictor muscles, pharyngeal raphe. Above the origin of superior constrictor, pharyngobasilar fascia combines with buccopharyngeal fascia, forming a fibrous cavity. This cavity is lined by the sinus of Morgagni. Okay. So this is a schematic diagram showing the arrangement of constrictor muscles, superior, middle and inferior. This appearance is cupped appearance, showing overlapping of muscle fibers of superior, middle and inferior constrictors. Now we will talk about the muscle coat. We have longitudinal muscle and circular muscles of pharynx. Both are 3 in number. Okay. Longitudinal muscles form the outer layer and circular muscles form the inner layer. Longitudinal muscles 3 in number: stylopharyngeus, palatopharyngeus and salpingopharyngeus. All these 3 are inserted to the posterior border of thyroid cartilage. We'll talk about all of this in detail later in the video. So this is a schematic diagram showing the thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage. The posterior border of thyroid cartilage is the insertion point for all these longitudinal muscles. The thyroid cartilage is attached to the cricoid cartilage, and the cricoid cartilage is attached to the thyroid gland with the help of ligament of Berry, which is a condensation of pretracheal fascia, the investing layer of pretracheal fascia. So due to the deglutition motion, the thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage is pulled up due to longitudinal muscles action. Due to the attachment of ligament of Berry with the thyroid gland, the deglutition also moves the thyroid gland. Okay. Now talking about the circular muscles, we have 3 in number: superior constrictor, middle constrictor and inferior constrictor. The inferior constrictor muscle is consisting of 2 parts: thyropharyngeus, which is forming the oblique part, and cricopharyngeus, which is forming the transverse part. Okay. Now, except stylopharyngeus and cricopharyngeus, all muscles of pharynx are supplied by VAC. What is this VAC? VAC stands for vago-accessory complex. How is this vago-accessory complex formed? The cranial root of accessory nerve is supplying all these muscles, but it is supplying through the fibers of pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve. This gives rise to the formation of vago-accessory complex. So all the muscles of pharynx except stylopharyngeus and cricopharyngeus is supplied by VAC. So what is supplying stylopharyngeus? Stylopharyngeus is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve, and cricopharyngeus is supplied by recurrent laryngeal nerve. So this is the main fact regarding muscular coat. Now there is a peculiarity here in the inferior constrictor muscle. We have the oblique thyropharyngeus arising from the oblique line. This is the oblique line in the thyroid cartilage, and the fibers going obliquely and attaching to the pharyngeal raphe, and the cricopharyngeus arising from the lamina of cricoid cartilage and going and attaching to the pharyngeal raphe. So between these two, there is a potential gap between these two muscles. So this potential gap is called Killian's dehiscence. Okay, this Killian's dehiscence is the site for Zenker's diverticulum, which is present in the posterolateral wall of pharynx. Okay, so this was the clinical aspect of Killian's dehiscence. Now moving on, this is the diagram showing all the constrictor muscles. We have the superior constrictor, middle constrictor, inferior constrictor. So I'll talk about the origin and insertion through this diagram. As you can see here, there is a pterygoid plate, and the hook-like process at the end of the pterygoid plate is called pterygoid hamulus, and from the pterygoid hamulus runs a raphe connecting pterygoid hamulus with the mandible. This is called pterygomandibular raphe. And we also have a mylohyoid line on the inner aspect, that is a medial aspect of mandible. So the mylohyoid line, pterygomandibular raphe and the pterygoid hamulus, this is the origin site for superior constrictor. Okay, and it goes on and attaches to the common insertion, which is the pharyngeal raphe. Now the middle constrictor, it originates from the greater cornu body and the lesser cornu along with stylohyoid ligament. So this is the origin for middle constrictor, and it goes on and attaches to the pharyngeal raphe. Now the inferior constrictor, it originates from the posterior part of the thyroid cartilage and the lamina of cricoid cartilage and attaches to the pharyngeal raphe. Now to make things simpler, this is a very schematic diagram. So first we have a base of skull and the pterygoid plate. Then at the end of the pterygoid plate there is a hook-like process called pterygoid hamulus. Then connecting the pterygoid with the mandible, we have a pterygomandibular raphe, and then we have a mylohyoid line on the inner aspect of mandible. These are the origin points for superior constrictor muscle. Okay. Then the middle constrictor, it originates from stylohyoid ligament and hyoid bone, the greater cornu and the lesser cornu, and attaches to the pharyngeal raphe. Then we have the inferior constrictor, which is of two parts. Thyropharyngeus originates from the oblique line of thyroid cartilage on the posterior aspect. Then we have the lamina of cricoid cartilage giving rise to cricopharyngeus. Okay. So there is a potential space between the base of skull and the superior constrictor muscle. This is called pharyngobasilar fascia, and it is lining sinus of Morgagni. This is the potential space between base of skull and superior constrictor. You can see in this image also, this is the potential space. Okay. Now this is a very summary sort of a table showing everything about the constrictor muscles. We have the superior constrictor, middle constrictor and inferior constrictor of two parts, thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus. Origin, as I told earlier, pterygoid hamulus, pterygomandibular raphe, medial surface of mandible, then the side of the posterior part of the tongue also, and inserting onto the pharyngeal tubercle on the base of the tongue, which is mainly the median fibrous raphe. Okay. Then nerve supply, as I told earlier, pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve carrying fibers of cranial root of accessory nerve, and action helps in deglutition. Okay. Middle constrictor, lower part of stylohyoid ligament, lesser cornu and upper part of greater cornu of hyoid. Then it attaches to the median fibrous raphe. Nerve supply is the same. Then it also helps in deglutition. Inferior constrictor, two parts, oblique line on the lamina of thyroid cartilage gives rise to thyropharyngeus. Then tendinous band between the thyroid and the cricoid cartilage gives rise to a part of the thyropharyngeus also. Then it attaches to the median fibrous raphe. Then nerve supply is the same and helps in deglutition. Cricopharyngeus, it is taking origin from the cricoid cartilage, the lamina part, and inserting onto the median fibrous raphe. Nerve supply, as I mentioned earlier, it is recurrent laryngeal nerve. Okay. Now we'll talk about a very important topic, which is the structures passing in between the constrictor muscles. Okay. As I told earlier, these constrictor muscles are arranged in a cupped fashion, like one cup over the other. So there is a pocket of space in between each constrictor muscle. So that space gives the space for structures entering the pharynx from outside. Okay. So as we saw earlier, the space between the base of skull and the superior constrictor is called sinus of Morgagni. The structures passing through the sinus of Morgagni are eustachian tube, levator veli palatini muscle, ascending palatine artery, which is a branch of facial artery, then palatine branch of ascending pharyngeal artery. These four things, they pierce pharyngobasilar fascia and enter the pharynx. Then we have a space between superior constrictor and middle constrictor. The structures passing in between these two are stylopharyngeus muscle. So stylopharyngeus muscle is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. So that should also go along with it. Okay. Then we have a space between middle constrictor and inferior constrictor. We have a nerve and a artery in this space. So these are internal laryngeal nerve and superior laryngeal artery. It pierces thyrohyoid membrane and enters the pharynx. Then we have a space between inferior constrictor and the esophagus. In between these two runs recurrent laryngeal nerve and inferior laryngeal artery. These run in the tracheoesophageal groove. Okay. So this is a same summary of what I told earlier. The gap between the base of skull and the superior constrictor, we have auditory tube, then levator veli palatini, then ascending palatine artery, palatine branch of ascending pharyngeal artery, then superior and middle constrictor, thyropharyngeus and glossopharyngeal nerve, middle and inferior constrictor, internal laryngeal nerve and superior laryngeal artery. Then we have between the lower border of inferior constrictor and the esophagus in the tracheoesophageal groove, we have recurrent laryngeal nerve and inferior laryngeal artery. Okay. Now we will talk about the longitudinal muscles. They are three in number: stylopharyngeus, palatopharyngeus and salpingopharyngeus. Okay. So the origin of stylopharyngeus is from the styloid process. Okay, and inserting onto the posterior border of the lamina of thyroid cartilage. I told earlier that all of these three attach to the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage. Okay. Now supply, as I mentioned earlier, it is glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay. Palatopharyngeus, it is arising by two fasciculi from the upper surface of palatine aponeurosis and attaching onto the posterior border of thyroid cartilage, and nerve supply is the same, VSC. Okay. VSC for salpingopharyngeus also, and it is arising from lower part of cartilage of the auditory tube. Okay, and it is attaching to the posterior border of lamina of thyroid cartilage. Okay, so as you can see in this diagram, styloid process giving rise to stylopharyngeus. Okay, auditory tube giving rise to the salpingopharyngeus, palate and palatine aponeurosis giving rise to the formation of palatopharyngeus. Okay. Now we'll talk about the sensory supply of pharynx. Sensory nerve supply of the nasopharynx is by the pharyngeal branch of pterygopalatine ganglion carrying fibers from maxillary division of trigeminal nerve. So nasopharynx is supplied by the V5. Okay. Then oropharynx by glossopharyngeal nerve, laryngopharynx by internal laryngeal nerve. Okay. So nasopharynx by 5th cranial nerve, oropharynx by 9th cranial nerve and laryngopharynx by 10th cranial nerve. Okay. Now we will talk about the arterial supply. The branches of the following arteries supply the pharynx: ascending pharyngeal artery, ascending palatine and tonsillar artery, greater palatine and pharyngeal artery, and the lingual artery. Okay. Venous drainage is very simple. It is from the pharyngeal venous plexus. So this is the final topic for today's video, which is the Waldeus ring. What is Waldeus ring? It is an aggregation of lymphoid tissue, which is tonsil, behind the pharyngeal mucosa, forming an interrupted circle. Okay. What is the purpose? It is the first contact of pathogens with innate immunity. Okay. So this is acting like a filter. Okay. So this Waldeus ring is formed by pharyngeal tonsil, tubal tonsil, palatine tonsil and lingual tonsil. Okay. Pharyngeal tonsil is present in the posterior superior part. Okay. Tubal tonsil and palatine tonsil is present on the lateral aspect. Then we have a lingual tonsil present on the anterior aspect. So this is forming a interrupted circle. Okay. So this was all about the anatomy of pharynx. Head over to the comment section and tell me about the topic you want me to explain next. So until next time, stay sharp.